honestly, my first picture was that Cambodia little girl standing in a brothel somewhere, right? And then when you start to hear what's happening here, it's very different. It is people in vulnerable positions that are being solicited or taken advantage of, exploited. A mom with a little toddler that has nowhere to live, and a supposed cab driver offers her his place, gets there after a few nights. Now you got to do this for me. Now you got to have these men come over, you know, and she's desperate. She doesn't know what to do. She's got this little kid. She's afraid. It's the youth who come in vulnerable situations. They run away, they take off, somebody gets them addicted. Well, now you gotta do this for your addiction, you know, or we're your family, you just gotta help us out, pay rent. It's all sorts of ways that people will take advantage of people's situations.
Especially with online and social media, that's opened a huge, you know, avenue for traffickers to do more exploitation for youth especially. But you know, we have some clients who were trafficked and their parents never even knew because they still went to school and came home at the time they were expected to come home, but maybe they were trafficked right after school during when the parents thought they were at cheerleading practice, or they were trafficked in the school locker rooms, or online, blackmailed with some, you know, nude photos that were sent or things like that.
Really, just from my history and just talking to people in the community, the need for a safe place, the need where there is alternative approaches to restoration than talk therapy, to providing that place where they can come and be with people who are going to invest and care about what happens to them. So it's not just resourcing. We resource and link and case manage, and that's great. I've seen, though, over these years that unless we pour into that person, unless their trauma is resolved, unless they actually see themselves as capable, then the resources don't help, because then they re-engage in those situations again.
I just want to stay loyal to myself and find out who I am.
I had one girl come in, she was in the thick of human trafficking, lots of drug use, lots of alcohol use, kind of was barely oriented to where she was. And now she comes regularly. She's quit all of the hard drugs. She's still working on some other ones. And she stopped drinking, and she's been really engaging here and enjoying getting to know the other girls and having that positive support. And she's expressed that to us, which she was super tough at first. I never thought in a million years I would hear her say that PATH saved her life and that she loves coming here.
It's been incredible to see how those needs get provided for through PATH. So our Enrichment Center started in 2015, and actually it was 5 years ago in September. And we were in a 500 square foot room on a church on the east side. That was our first space. We had no idea what to expect. Within less than a year, we outgrew that. And that was, I would say, one of probably the first challenges I hit in this work, where I actually wondered if it was going to continue. We couldn't find a space that we could afford. Real estate was expensive. We had no idea where to go. We kind of knew what we needed based on the work we were doing. And through, actually, our church had put out a little video series on myself, and a gentleman in the church heard it. I didn't mention at all our needs for a building. I didn't say anything in that, and he saw it, felt touched. Him and his wife reached out to me and said, I don't know what your needs are, but I wonder if you need help with real estate. And so we talked, and he said, do you have a space you like? And we did, but it was not possible for us. And he said, show me. We went and looked. He said, how much you have budgeted? We told him. He called me 2 days later and said, my wife and I are going to cover the rest of your rent for 2 years. So therefore, we moved into a 3,000 square foot space that we were able to do our services with right on Delaware. It's actually a block from where we are now. And it was wonderful for what we needed. Really filled the need during that period. Incredibly, after 3 years, we started outgrowing that.
And I just started liking it when you guys got your new building. I started liking it, and I became more social. So I was able to come more social and put my past behind me.
This space has been amazing. So in our other space, we were kind of crammed. I work with the teenagers, and I would have to run groups crammed in my office with them.
We spent about a year looking for a space, found this building. There were some challenges along the way as the seller was trying to move and renovate, and so they got held up. So we were hoping to close last fall. And just with all the things that set them back, we got pushed back, and then COVID happened. And so, to be honest, I kind of thought we were done. Okay, we're not going to move, we're in shutdown, we'll put this off. And on April 1st, I get a phone call from the donor that says, "Julie, we just closed on the building." So I'm thinking, wow, that's awesome. We're in the middle of the shutdown, what are we going to do? But you know, what was so amazing is the timing. I thought was horrible was perfect. And by the end of the July, we were able to run, do all the work in the space to make it ready for our use. And in August, we started operations here, and it has allowed for us to have the distancing we needed. It's allowed for us to spread out the programmings. The youth have their own floor, the adults have their own floor. It's just been an incredible gift. And I never would imagine that in 5 years we'd go from a 500 square foot room to a 6,000 square foot building that was purchased for us. That's an incredible story.
He was very abusive, choking me until I couldn't breathe, threatened to kill me, bruises all on my hands and my body, where I ended up back and forth in the hospitals. Since I've been back home, Path saved me, because I could have been doing negative things once I came back home, and just let my mental illness and stuff get to me and be bitter and depressed and all that. But Path saved me from not being that way.
They feel genuinely loved and cared for, and a lot of them don't know what actual love is, not just romantic love, but what it means to be kind to somebody. So for a while, a lot of times when they first come, it's that, they're kind of getting their feet wet, they don't trust anybody.
These are my second family, that I know that I feel safe with, that I can trust these ladies and the kids, and everything is all right.
We really want to know what it is that we need to do to help get them safe and in a situation where they can start working toward transformation. And so I think that is a relationship. I think the very first thing that matters is a relationship that we form to build trust. People who have had their trust broken pretty significantly. And so I think that's the first piece, and really letting them know that they matter. They're not just a number, they're not a unit for us to get funding, they're a human being. And what happens to them, people are upset and care and want to make a difference.
I am worth something in this world. Just when people think the worst of me, that God did not build bad things in me. Like my outside is not just the outside, but my inside, God knows my insides, and He knows my heart. And they showed me that.
I think when a client who has felt isolated and is alone and single and has experienced trauma and exploitation in significant ways comes to you and puts their arms around and says, "Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing Path. This is my family. I don't really have anybody else in my life." Those are the days where I think, okay, this is why I'm going to get up and I'm going to work hard again, and I'm going to resource and make sure Path has what it needs.
I have a lot of moments that are very serious where a client will open up about their trauma history, and some of the stuff, I've heard some really shocking, awful things. And so those moments, it's very sobering, and really there's not much to say other than validating them. And so we've had some of those moments, and I've had, with some of those same people, amazing moments of seeing them be joyful, enjoying the fitness classes, loving the music, loving the art, and coming back and saying, "I never thought I'd smile again," or like, the people here are so joyful. I've never experienced that, and, to see them laugh. And even Friday, I saw a bunch of my teenagers who were all, they were all super aggressive, would want to fight with each other, get upset with each other before. They all, were coming around each other, supporting each other, applauding each other for the progress they've made on Friday, and saying really kind things. Those moments are truly amazing. And when you see that kind of change, when you have somebody actually walk in and thank you, yeah, that's pretty profound.